Next on Investigative Report. Anxiety Nation, finding a way back to normalcy. Roughly 7 million adults in the United States suffer from anxiety issues during waking hours. Some attempt to flee these issues in their sleep. A percentage manage symptoms with highly addictive anti-anxiety medication. Such was the case of Matthew Perry, who played the character Chandler Bing on the sitcom Friends. Perry's death, although very tragic, gave pause to those who had never addressed their mental health needs. It gave them time to turn to exercise over alcohol and substance abuse. And for others, time to take time off from extended work hours. And lastly, those who had been plagued since childhood with unresolved issues and traumas. Traumas that they unknowingly carry, which ultimately ruin all close relationships beyond middle age. And now, Anxiety Nation, finding a way back to normalcy. Anxiety and our ability to get a good night's rest are completely intertwined. Anxious feelings can cause sleeplessness, delay sleep onset, disturb sleep, and nightmares. Sleep is the only possible when the body and mind are relaxed, which can be hard to achieve when one is anxious. But anxiety, if used the right way, can become a positive tool for motivation for some sufferers if turned on its head. Take, for example, the following celebrities featured in Men's Health Report on stars with anxiety disorders. For instance, did you know that Chris Evans, an anxiety sufferer for years, suggests that you just say shh to your brain? Over the decades of the Avengers run, co-star Robert Downey Jr. noticed how Evans was able to turn anxiety in his favor. But it seems like a lot of movie heroes, Ryan Reynolds, who stars as fan favorite Deadpool, battled anxiety as well. Ryan admits that he has anxiety and has always had anxiety, but he is able to push through. Carson Daly, in an interview on The Today Show, said, "I was a worrywart kid. I was always worrying. My father died when I was 5. I had ulcers when I was in high school. I've been nervous my whole life." Swimmer Michael Phelps said throughout his career he struggled with depression and anxiety at various times, and he found it so difficult to get help. But in teaming up with the therapy app Talkspace, he has discovered his path back to normalcy. Late night talk show host Stephen Colbert had a bit of nervous breakdown shortly after getting married. He took medication for a little while, but ultimately realized performing helped him deal with his symptoms. Run DMC's Daryl McDaniel said, "I had anxiety that I didn't know was anxiety. I had panic attacks that I didn't know were panic attacks. Anytime I felt something I considered abnormal, I just reached for the bottle." But he admits that he finally got help for his mental health issues. Zayn Malik, former singer of One Direction, once canceled a concert due to extreme anxiety before deciding to go public with his mental health issues. "One of my team members offered to write a statement saying that I'd be taken ill, but I didn't want to do that. Anxiety is nothing to be ashamed of." Clark Gregg, who plays Agent Phil Coulson in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, opened up about his anxiety and panic attacks. He said cognitive behavioral therapy had been a game changer. He says, "I find it calming to know that wherever I am, I just know I can do these exercises and it's going to become manageable." Rick Ankiel, former professional baseball player, suddenly lost his ability to pitch, and severe anxiety turned out to be the culprit. Ankiel says it consumes you. It's not just on the field, it never goes away. Charlemagne the God admits he had anxiety literally his whole life, he said. "When you're young and running the streets, you think all that paranoia and anxiousness comes with the territory. As you get older, when you're damn near 40 and life is good and you still have those feelings, that's when you know something is wrong." Rapper Big Sean opened up about his anxiety and depression by saying, "I wasn't feeling like myself and I couldn't figure out why. I just felt lost. I don't know how I got there," he said. A year later, Big Sean started getting professional help and practicing meditation. Award-winning tennis professional Marty Fish, who would pull out of 2012 U.S. Open before facing against Roger Federer, Now, he did this due to medical symptoms of severe anxiety disorder. Of the event, Marty says it's okay not to be okay. To show weakness, we're told in sports, is to deserve shame. But showing weakness addresses your mental health in strength. In many cases, anxiety is undetectable from a surface appearance among varied careers. It is literally about as hard to pick a needle out of a haystack as it would be to pick out who has anxiety. In truth, you may be working alongside a coworker who is either managing or is barely holding it together through anxiety. To date, there are 5 major types of anxiety disorders. The first is generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD. GAD entails exaggerated tension, worrying, and nervous about daily life events. Number 2 is obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD. OCD is a mental health disorder characterized by repetitive actions that seem impossible to stop. Number 3, panic disorders. Panic disorders is an anxiety disorder where you regularly have sudden attacks of panic or fear. Number 4, post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. PTSD affects soldiers and veterans more as a form of anxiety than the general population. It can cause nervousness, uneasiness, and flashbacks of traumatic events. Number 5, social anxiety disorder, or social phobia. Social anxiety disorder is an intense, persistent fear of being watched and judged by others. This fear can affect work, school, and other daily activities. It can even make it hard to make and keep friends. If you feel you have any of these symptoms, you may consult a physician, a clinical psychologist, or psychiatrist for advice or treatment, from relaxation or medication. But I say to you that if an anxiety sufferer with glaring childhood abandonment issues can break the record for most gold medals won in a single Olympic game, imagine what you can do. Michael Phelps, son of a state trooper, will go on to achieve 28 Olympic medals while overcoming substance abuse issues rooted in his anxiety. In the meantime, here are 10 exercises suggested by the Calm Clinic for sufferers to achieve balance in their everyday lives. Controlled breathing can ease the symptoms of depression and anxiety. This breathing technique can help you bring about a relaxation response, which may help you feel calmer and more centered. When you're taking a deep breath, it is linked to the sympathetic nervous system, which controls your flight or fight response. However, exhaling is linked to the parasympathetic nervous system, which influences our body's ability to relax and calm down in the midst of anxious situations. Talking to someone friendly or communicating with someone you love seems to be the best medicine for anxiety sufferers who lose close relationships by distancing themselves from the general public. Anxiety sufferers who don't feel comfortable around massive crowds can still lean upon childhood friendships to honor them for who they are, despite what they are going through. Whether it be a pickup game of basketball or a moment to reconnect through emails on the way home, these proven techniques can help you soothe anxious emotions. Try some aerobic activity. We move our body. As a consequence, we improve our mood. In one study of individuals with depression, participants walked or ran on a treadmill during intervals for 30 minutes a session. After 10 days, they were asked to report any changes in their mood. All participants reported a significant reduction in their symptoms of anxiety or depression. Find what relaxes you. Hobbies abound for those who need to quiet their mind and their negative feelings about situations out of their control. Some people prefer to sketch and others to paint, like Bob Ross. Then there are people who prefer to keep their hands in the soil to give birth to new life. Some steal away to remote locations only accessible by foot to deny anxiety a foothold over their life. Aromatherapy and essential oils are a virtual miracle for what they can do to calm the body as well as your mood. There is nothing like taking a little me time before or after a hard day's work with these pleasurable scents. Men, just like their female counterparts, need to learn how to loosen up their anxiety-driven muscles with a warm bath and some aromatherapy beads, mist, or vapor. Learn to manage your thoughts. For this next task, I say you get yourself a trusted mentor, whether that be in person or by comparison shopping one of the latest therapy apps available on your iPhone. There is virtually no equivalent to conversing with people who have gone through the waters you are currently navigating. If you prefer to heal alone, then simply tune in to a free YouTube yoga video for either panic or anxiety stress. Listen to good music. Psychology Today says that listening to music is an appealing alternative intervention for stress and anxiety, as it is accessible, inexpensive, and easy to include in daily life. Listening to and making music has been associated with a broad range of positive health outcomes. Listening to music can decrease cortisol levels, increase serotonin levels, and activate the brain's areas involved in reward. For example, in medical settings, listening to relaxing music before, during, and after medical procedures has been reported to correlate with lower cortisol levels. There exists some evidence to support the anxiety-reducing effect of background music on patients awaiting clinical encounters. Learn grounding techniques, which is something best done through volunteerism. With the rush of life, sometimes we forget what actually matters, which increases our inner tensions towards anxiety and panic attacks. Volunteerism gives us the maximum example of how not to focus on the self, which is where all anxiety exists. There is a biblical quote that says, "It is better to give than it is to receive." This implies that the one who gives is usually in a better position than the receiver. Making love. Professor Andrew Gillis says sex is a great way to relieve stress. The benefits include the release of endorphins and other hormones that elevate mood. It's also great exercise, which itself is an effective stress reliever. But stress can also keep us from getting in the mood, and worse, not being able to perform sexually. This is where I believe the previous calming techniques I named for you can play a part. If you are not in the mood to make whoopee, then find a passion that progresses to that romantic mood. I believe that as men, if we learn to de-stress, we wouldn't need a little blue pill for close connection and making love in the first place. Living today. This literally means enjoying yourself with every sunrise and sunset. Probably the most mind-racking opportunity for any of us is being concerned about what will happen in the future while placing the now on hold. But in doing this, all of us ultimately find out that we only have a finite amount of time to live life itself. Before you pass from this life to the next, don't let your friends and loved ones remember you for begrudging life due to anxiety or depression. Learn to manage your mental health before it dominates and robs you of the joys and missteps of life. And while we're at it, clean out your closet. Clean out your closet of negative relationships that only bring you down and exacerbate your anxiety. If it's with your parents, clear it out. If it's with a loved one that's not good for you, or you are not good for them, end that relationship before it attacks your anxiety and makes it something worse than it actually is. Anxiety can affect you in a bedroom, but not if you do not bring it to the bedroom. Anxiety affects your family, the children. There's nothing that can be done in a closet. Anxiety affects the lives of the elderly that didn't let it go since childhood. Anxiety is responsible for more self-harm than anything. For Investigative Report, this is Charles Rivers. Even at times in life, I myself and my wife have experienced anxiety. We both wish you the best. Until next time, enjoy.